Hey there, Color Quest friends. This is Margaret Byrd. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who have been following along, thank you for your patience. I was gone for a few weeks because I've been busy traveling. However, today we're going to jump back into indigo. And we're going to do that by working with an indigo vat. One that was gifted to me from the good women of the Indigo Fest. I have an iron vat. So join me today to welcome that beautiful blue on cotton tote bags. All right, first things first, quickly, fiber prep. I have already washed these cotton totes, scoured them, and got them good and clean. You know that you can scour in a few different ways, depending upon what kind of fiber you have and how dirty it might be. You can go the route of putting it into your washing machine. You can use something like washing soda, which is soda ash, and that's really strong. Or you can do it on the stovetop. It's a great way to do it with things like silk and wool that you might not want to put in the washing machine, but these were done in the washing machine and they are ready to go. Now, you do not need to mordant when you're working with indigo, but I had already pre-treated these because that's what I do. I do big pre-treatment mordant parties, if you will, so that I have a lot of inventory ready to go for you and for me. So these have been pre-treated with aluminum acetate since they're cotton, but it's not necessary. Now they've dried, they've cured, I need to iron them. For this particular project, it's best if they're ironed first and smooth, because then we're gonna fold them, and I'll just be showing you maybe one fold, because I have 4 to do. And then let's go wake up the vat. All right, so I've tied 3 of the 4. And I'm gonna show you the 4th one that I'm going to do because it's a super easy tie and it'll be one that you'll have reference to. For the other ones, you'll have to go looking, searching out there just like I did in different ways to do it. It's really just about having you along with me on this journey of discovery. And working with an iron vat is certainly just that. So let me show you how I'm going to bind this last tote before we go down to the vat. And since my totes aren't perfectly square or flat or anything like that, they've got pockets and they have handles, I'm really not worried about having anything that's exact. It's just not my style anyway. So bear with me as we do this and it'll give you an idea. I'm hoping for just a kind of spirally effect from the center, and I'm going to leave a lot not bound so that we can really enjoy that blue. I tend to do too much binding when I do it, and then I get a little sad that I have less indigo and a lot more of the neutral color of the fiber. So we'll leave these edges. I like this one just for that reason. The other reason I like this is because we literally need 1 rubber band, some twine, and some scissors, and that's it. So all I'm gonna do is find a center point in the front of my bag. You can see I have my handles here. I even have a little pocket on the inside. So it is not flat and it is certainly not square. But I'm just gonna pick a center point and I'm pulling it up like this, and I'm just making myself a bundle like this. And I'm gonna pick some place back here where I'm going to choose the end of my binding. So I will take this rubber band, put it in that space, and this is gonna be where I bind from. Maybe give it a tiny twist. And I will start with the string. So you can see I have my handles out here and parts of the bag that are going to just enjoy that indigo. Go I'll move my bind up a tiny bit. Now we'll work with the twine. I'm basically going to tie it here and just start wrapping it around, back and forth. Let's do it.
You do not have to be good. Even the best of us have been misunderstood.
So here are my 4 wraps. This is the one I just showed you, and then I have one that does have some wood resist. This is just paint stir sticks and some folds going on in there. We have a very simple one that was a triangle fold that just used 2 rubber bands, and then another pretty simple one that just tied it with string. I like that because you don't need any fancy clamps. Now you know what we have to do, because you always have to do this. We need to get our fibers good and wet. So I'm going to put them in here, and probably have to put them with something to keep them under, but we got to get all that oxygen out and get them nice and wet so we can put them in the vat. Let's go. So I want to say thank you again to Britt and Iris. I inherited one of the iron vats after the Indigo Fest, and I brought it home, and it's just been sitting at my house now for about a week. I haven't touched it. I am now going to check on it. We've had some pretty warm weather. The thing about iron vats is that they don't need to be as warm as traditional fructose vat, and so 75 degrees is sort of an ideal temperature. I don't have a thermometer, and I know if I had done this a couple days ago, it would have been just fine, because it was like in the 80s and 90s. Unfortunately, it has been a little colder, but I'm still out here in a short sleeve shirt, and my guess is it might be a little too chilly, but we'll check all the other signs. We'll give it a nice stir, and we'll put it in a test strip if the conditions look right, and see if it's in a reduced state and ready for us to dye. Let's take a look at it. So here we go. Look at that. Ooh. Well, one of the good signs is this purplish sort of metallic top to it. This is unreduced indigo, so that would be something I would choose to scrape away and keep. Now I'm going to see about the color. I'm curious. We should be getting that yellow amber color. Oh yes, it's definitely a reddish clear color. That's also a really good sign. I don't see much of any indigo floating around in it, so good signs. Now let's test the pH. Okay, the 3 ingredients in a vat are indigo, a reducing agent, in this instance that's my iron, and the alkaline. And I am going to be looking for a little bit of a higher alkalinity for iron. They can stand in the 11 to 12 range. Fructose vats like it a little bit less, maybe in the 9 to 10 range. And this can vary. It's all about sort of trial and error and testing. And I need to check that. Once I check that and sort of get a temperature on that, and when I mean that, I mean a pH temperature, then I'm going to stir it, because it hasn't been stirred. I should be stirring it every day if I'm going to be using a vat. Haven't done it in a week, but we'll get that stirred. But let's first check to see where we're at in alkalinity. Okay, so we are going to be looking for a purpley color. We don't want to get up into those 13, 14s, but let's see if we can get sort of a bluish color, knowing that we're in the 11 to 12. That 11 is sort of green. So let's test it out and see what we get. And that is high in alkalinity. It's looking like it's in the purple realm, so we might be a little high. We might have to reduce that alkaline, but let's stir it first and see if that settles things out a little bit. This is maybe a reason why you get a meter, because trying to determine, is it there? I think it might be at a 14. let's stir it and go.
Under your feet. The sun is shining repentance through the leaf. Its rays will wash you.
So we have this kind of green color. It seems a little dull, but I'm going to just let that finish. See if I start to get a flower coming. I do see some oxygen bubbles coming up, so maybe we've got a flower forming. That's exciting. And once the sediment, which was in the bottom, floats back down to the basin, we will go ahead and look at the color and retest the pH. Okay, I can see that the sediment is settling, so I'm going to try the pH one more time, see if we're any better. He seems to be coming in closer to 12. Hard to tell. I really ought to think about investing in a pH meter for things like this, but I'm going to look at the color now again and see with the spoon to see if it's got that clear color, sort of reddish amber color. It's a little more green, so I'm thinking we need to let the sediment settle a little bit more. So I'll check it again in a few minutes, maybe 10. Well, I'm losing light, so what I'm going to do is put the top back on, and I'm going to actually wrap it in a blanket. And I'm pretty sure I might have to add a little bit of hot water tomorrow. That'll lower the pH as well, just by diluting it, and maybe kick up the temperature. But we'll give it a nice little blanket for tonight, and then we'll start dyeing, hopefully, if the sample piece goes in and looks good right away tomorrow morning. Okay, I have it all wrapped up in a nice little blankie. Good night, Vat. Good morning. Let's wake you up, see how you're doing. You look good. Got that beautiful sheen on top. There we go. There's that amberish color. Check our pH. Definitely 12. So we're going to give it a quick stir and put the test strip in. Just going to add a little bit of hot water. Warm it up a tiny bit. I think we're good actually, but I figured why not give it a little hot water. And our stir for about a minute. And there's that green we were looking for. It's a little easier to see in this daylight. We've got our flower starting to bloom there. So we'll let this settle, and then we'll put in a test strip. There's a lot of construction on. Hear that? That's what my days are like. But I don't have time to wait for tonight after these stops. So we're going to put that piece of wet test fiber in. And when we pull it out, it should be a nice bright green. We're not going to leave it in for very long, maybe 60 seconds. And then we'll see it transform into that blue. So we're looking for a green fiber when it comes out. So let's try it out. Wow, did you see that separate? So interesting, right? Okay, there it is. There's that green. Okay, now as it hits the oxygen, it'll turn blue. And I think we're in business. Looks good. All right, time to put in the tote. So all of my totes are completely soaked. They've been sitting overnight actually in water. You don't want to introduce oxygen into our vat either. So that's another reason why we have to do that. I actually have tied 2 more totes. This will allow us to just have more time in this iron vat. So let's get to dipping. We're going to build up color through multiple dips. I'm only going to hold it in for about a minute, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put it into a bucket of water, and that does two things. One, it kind of rinses off the residual iron. It's kind of a tough vat. You can only really use this for cellulose fibers. This isn't going to be a recommended vat for things like silk or wool, protein fibers. It's too rough on it, but cotton does fine, cellulose fibers. But we do want to give it a little breather in between. It's an oxidation as well. So when we place it into the water, that's also acting as an oxidation. So we'll do that several times. I'll have you poke in every once in a while and see how we're coming along.
I'm walking slowly, I'm taking my time. All I like good talking is starting to rhyme. Letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life.
So that was hard to try to film and do it one-handed. I had to put the camera down so that I could actually use my other hand to put the fiber underneath. A few things you want to keep in mind is, one, you don't want to be introducing a bunch of extra oxygen. So you want to wring it out from the water before you put it in. You want to move slowly. You want to have your hands just very gently moving the fiber around underneath the surface, far enough below the top, but you never want to touch the silt at the bottom. You don't want to disturb that except for when you stir it to kind of give it its daily dose of vortex love. So I'm going to put it back in for its second dip, and then I'll probably do it a few times. I don't know, depends. I might do part of it, we'll see. Get a little creative. And my vat is really, really full, so I'm also having to be super cautious about that. Don't fill it this much. It's just I was gifted this, so I took what I could, and I'm happy for it. So I want to pull it out of this rinse water, oxidation water, wring it out, get as much of that liquid out. You don't want that water in there. And go ahead and do a second dip.
You do not have to be known. Even the best of us have sometimes felt alone. This whole world is your home. So reach out your branches, lay your roots back to the soil, and watch the rain help you grow. I'm walking slowly, I'm taking my time. All I could talk in this.
All right, I just continue to dip, dip, dip. I have now dipped the first piece that I'm showing you from start to finish 3 times. I think what I'm going to do now is just dip one more, just the part that's not bound, to give it a little bit more blue on that part, and then I'll have some variation. You really do want to just build colors up. You can stop at any point that you think you might do it, but some people will take it like 10, 15 dips if they want that super dark blue. I'm not going to do that. Don't have the time or the resources, honestly. So trying to get 6 of these done. They're going to be a variation of different blues, some that kind of blue jean, faded blue jean color. Should be really interesting. So I'm going to do that last partial dip, and then I will let them sit for a while, just hanging out in that water to oxidize. Then we can unbind them so that inside can also oxidize as well.
Letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. Oh, you look so amazing. Your hair, it drives me crazy. Dreaming of God saved by amazing grace, or maybe my lack of faith. The seasons change, but they come back the same. They'll wash you clean with their rain.
All right, I let those sit and cure overnight. You want to let them at least have a chance to just sit dry after you've rinsed them, aerate and oxidize, and then just cure. Then we need to do an incredibly important step. An indigo vat is very alkaline in nature, so we need to neutralize our fiber. We don't want to leave that alkaline residue on the fiber itself. And with an iron vat, iron is pretty harsh too. So in order to do that, we need to create an acidic bath. And with an iron vat, citric acid is recommended because it's stronger. I'm going to put just a tablespoon into a 2-gallon vessel. You want the water to be warm to hot, so you can touch it, but so that the crystals will dissolve. And then I'm going to let each piece sit in there for at least 20 to 30 minutes so that it can neutralize. I'll do a couple together at once, but you wanted them to be able to move around and make sure that all of that citric acid solution or acidic solution is going to get in there and work it out. We'll do that, and then we can either air dry them and let them cure for a while, or for me, I need to get them washed because they need to be delivered somewhere tomorrow. So I'm actually going to wash them in hot soapy water, and then they should be ready to go. All right, let's get to neutralizing.
Saved by amazing grace, or maybe my lack of faith. The seasons change, but they come back the same. They'll wash you clean with their rain. I'm walking slowly, I'm taking my time. All our lack of talking is starting to rhyme. I'm letting go of lonely, letting go of strife. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. I just can't get enough of this beautiful life. Oh, give me all you can of this beautiful life.
So how about those results? Pretty remarkable. I had a lot of fun doing this, and although I'm not keeping any of them, it was really fun to experiment with different kinds of ties and so forth. You can always see that the tighter that you tie these, the less the blue gets through. So I had a lot of contrast between the dark blues on the edges as well as some really white whites on the interiors. I really liked that. If you want to have more blue, then you need to tie less or not as tight. Anyway, it's been super fun working the past few weeks on indigo with you. All of these past few videos were thanks to a surge of creativity in the blue world, thanks to the Indigo Fest that I attended in August. Now, it's time to start traveling. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I have been traveling for a while now. Actually, it's been 2 months. But I'd like to bring you along on the journey that I've just experienced, and that is to the high Arctic. I have been attending an artist residency to see what kinds of beautiful colors may be gifted to me from the vast land of Svalbard. I look forward to seeing you next week at 78 degrees north and seeing what fun we might have in the wide world of natural color. Look forward to seeing you then. Scissors, which I don't know where they are. Where are you, scissors? Scissors. Aha, there you are.